Okay, we are getting started here. A few minutes off. So welcome to J490, critical issues in criminal justice. For the next 11 weeks, we will be going over materials that will enhance your ability to be able to learn more about your field of criminal justice. And so what I'm going to do first is I'm going to start out by giving you my expectations, and then I'm going to provide you with some information that I'm going to be emailing to you later. But first, let me start out by sharing my screen. Okay, this you are familiar with. You will see my name, phone number, and then you'll see some information that I want to bring to your attention, how I am open as far as communication is concerned. I say feel free to phone, text, or email me any hour of the day except the 25th hour of the day. You figure that one out, and then now when you do text me or either send an email, make sure you include your course and then also include your name as well. Not many of you in this class, so I should be able to know right away. Then I want to bring to your attention some additional requirements. In all written assignments, you are required to conduct research. And that means that the sole source of your papers cannot be the textbook, or you will lose 2 points for failure to conduct research. All written assignments should be in APA format. That means citations in the body, reference at the end. You will lose 2 points for that. And then finally, I didn't add this in here, but the length of the assignment, you will lose 1 point for that. So you theoretically, if you don't conduct any research, could lose a total of 5 points. And your assignments, most of the written assignments carry, you'll see 10 points. So you want to make sure that you do that. The other thing is that our live lectures will take place every Thursday, 6:30 to 7:30, beginning next week. Today is the open house, and it'll be weeks 2, 4, 6, 8, and 10. So you can always remember even weeks. Okay. I have provided some information to help you with APA. If you open that up, it'll tell you where you could find more information about APA. Remember, citations in the body and references at the end. And then, let's look at the writing process. You're going to, if you need to review, Grammarly. Grammarly is very important. Each of you should be familiar with Grammarly. And if you are not familiar with Grammarly, if you go to the resources section here, which is at the top here, and click on resources, it tells you about Grammarly right here. And it tells you, if you go on, click on that, it will open up information. It will tell you how to sign up for Grammarly. The key thing is to make sure that you use your name, your Rasmussen email, and password to set things up. So very, 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 very important. Now, you use Grammarly primarily to check on, to make sure that you have enough critical thinking, and you want to make sure that you didn't just take information from the sources, copy and paste the information, gave the citations and references, but we also want to engage in critical thinking. So that's how that works. So now let's go back to what I wanted to continue with. So then, if after you've got Grammarly there, I would recommend you check, because you will lose points for Grammarly first before you lose points for the other things. And then make the corrections, and if you need tutoring, go to Tutor Match and contact and set up an appointment with a tutor. Okay, so now before we get to the week 1 announcement, I sent you this announcement early on in the week. It tells you what the expectations are regarding the course, and if you follow each of these steps, then you'll be able to be on the right foot. It talks about, again, reminding you of our live lectures that begin every other Thursday, beginning the 12th of January, which is next Thursday, and it advises you of things that you should do. Then finally, we have every week an announcement, and the announcement will tell you what your reading is for the week, what the topic is that we will be covering for that particular week, and which chapters that you're supposed to read. It'll also advise you to check the sections in your module on various topics. This one is critical issues in technology, and then which brings forth solutions and problems. And then your discussion posts, which normally are due on Tuesday nights this particular week because we started a day late. Wednesday, which was yesterday, by 11:59 p.m. Central Standard Time, you should have posted your initial post. And then normally, though, it will be Tuesdays. And then your reply post by this Saturday, 11:59 p.m. Central Standard Time. And then you'll have your written assignment, technology changing criminal justice, and then you'll also be introduced to your project that's going to take place this quarter, and we're going to talk about that. And then at the end, you'll always see my motto, adversity is a springboard to success. I like to always have students understand that I've been through adversity, and which has led me to become a professor. And so as a result, I'm very serious about my commitment to each of you students. So now let's start out by taking a look at the syllabus. Now the syllabus, again, reminds you of what's on your first page. It tells you my name, my phone number, gives my email address. You also, in your welcome email, received my personal email, which you can also use. And then also, this is repeating what I told you about research and losing points and about APA references and citations. So repeating again, you'll lose 2 points if you don't conduct any research, and then you'll also lose 2 points if you don't have citations and references. And then I already stated that you will lose a point if your assignment is not up to par. Now, this doesn't apply to the project. I have a separate rubric for that you'll receive there. This is your textbook. And then these are your expectations. Complete all lesson application assignments in a timely fashion. The schedule for completion is given usually in the announcements, but also it's on your course calendar, which we're going to go over in a few minutes. You're to participate in all weekly discussions as outlined below. We're talking about the discussion forum. And then you're required to check your course announcements and messages. It says at least 3 times a week. I check mine every day, and I recommend that you check yours every day because you'll be able to get some information there. Now, regarding discussions, discussions are pretty clear. This school has been doing discussions for a while, and your discussions, some asked me about the length. Well, it's not the length that I'm concerned about. It's the content. Let me move this down here. So the idea of the discussion forum is to explore different topics each week. And what we want you to do is to put an initial discussion post, that you've given some thought to, with a detailed response. Responses such as yes, no, or I agree or disagree are not sufficient and should be posted according to what the calendar says. And you will be able to, you know what that is already. Tuesdays, except this week, and then Saturdays for reply posts. Okay. Now, it is important that you submit at least one reply post by the appropriate time. And then also, you should possibly consider replying to as many posts as possible. There's not a lot of students here, so you can interact with each other pretty well by responding to more than one post. And that makes the discussion forum post flow better, okay? Now, and then, you know, here's the deal. It says, different academic and professional disciplines use various methods for citing sources. We used APA, and the APA provides for clear references in the body and clear citations in the body and references at the end. And it gives credibility to the fact that you have make a statement, then you're providing a source. And I've already told you about how to check more on APA. Discussion post dates. Let me move this back up here. Discussion post due dates, we already know that. Written assignment due dates are Sundays by 11:59 p.m. Central Standard Time, with the exception of last week, which we'll deal with that when we come to it. Now, your course will consist of readings, your discussion posts, your written assignments, and your critical issues project. That will be the requirement. The lectures that I give are not necessarily required that you attend, but I encourage you to attend. I'm only required to do one lecture a quarter, which I'm really doing today, but I don't do that because I like to interact with students. Unfortunately, students don't attend and they start watching the archive. And so it's very important that you try to attend because you'll get more information and details if you attend a live lecture. I give my time out for 5 hours at a minimum every quarter in addition to the open house, to provide guidance on your assignments and work to help you to maybe answer some questions or issues that you might run into during the course of the week, okay? So let me do this. I gotta set this up. Okay, now we're good. I thought I had done it. All right, so anyway, now, this again is the same information that you have at the top, reminding you. Now, here we go, a breakdown of the grading criteria and point-wise. Again, you'll be able to be given a rubric for the discussions and for the course project. And then, so you're going to have the discussions. You'll notice there are 220 points, or 20 points each week. 10 points for the initial post, 10 points for the reply post. That's the max. Your written assignments, you'll have 10 written assignments. There is 1 week, I think it's week 10, that you don't have a written assignment, but the key is you'll receive 15 points. Now remember what I said earlier. If you don't do any research, you can lose 2 points. If you find yourself in a situation where you don't provide citations and references, you can lose 2 points. And then finally, if your paper is not the proper length according to what the assignment calls for, and generally that's 2 pages at least, not counting the cover sheet and not counting the citation or reference sheet rather. So you could end up with just 10 points. And so you don't want to find yourself in that situation. So you want to get those points as well. Okay, so you lose 1/3 of your points if you do that on a regular basis. Your course project is the heaviest thing that you'll be dealing with here. That is 210 points. And I have a rubric that I will be providing to you, which will guide you as to how to obtain those 210 points. Then there's a test that's going to come up. It's not a test that will be graded, but it's a test, it's called the ACAT, which we will require you to take in around week 10, and you'll get 30 points just for taking it. If not, you'll lose 30 points, and that constitutes almost 5% of your grade for a total of 100%. Now, here's the key. I want everybody to be around the A to a B- area, okay? Never call me or ask me, what can I do to get a C or a C+ or any of those grades, or just to pass your course. Don't ask me, because I'm not going to answer that for you, because I'm not producing those kinds of students. I'm producing A and B students. The reason is because I'm getting you into the habit of maximizing your investment for your education, and not only that, getting you into the habit of putting your best foot forward. You're going to run into problems, you're going to run into situations, but you're going to have to operate and communicate with me to let me know what's going on should you run into a problem. Like post haste, let me know, and then we'll see what we can do. And depending on what the circumstances, we'll work around it. I'm going to talk about that in a few minutes, though. So the key is to get your assignments in on time. Okay, I will be communicating with you quickly by course mail. I'm required to respond within 48 hours. I do it before that. I've given you my contact information on the syllabus. I already talked about the lectures. And then you'll see me responding to your discussion posts and making comments and things as well. So, as I said earlier, when communicating with me, please include your first name, last name, as well as the course title number that you're involved in, okay? And that is whether you're emailing me or what, so I can see it. Now, you're going to be engaged in all of these classes, including this one, in transferable skills that we've identified that we want all students to achieve proficiency in. So the first one is communication. Communication is very important. And your assignments, if you pay attention very carefully, hit each of these transferable skills. Communication is so important in all fields, but especially in criminal justice. Critical thinking. We want you to be able to provide your own thoughts about the information that you're researching. We want you to, maybe sometimes even challenge it or debate it. But you provide, don't just say, I don't like it or I disagree. If you do, explain why. Give some details about it. Oftentimes, critical thinking is demonstrated by giving both sides of a situation. As a lawyer, I was taught to be to be a critical thinker. And so I've been a critical thinker most of my life, and so it's natural to me. It's not something that comes second nature. If I have to give you a point, I will not only just explain the point, but I'll break it down and explain the reason. I even oftentimes look at the history of why something is as well. Then digital fluency, because everything is internet, computers. Our books now are digital. I remember when I came up, I'm 66, we didn't have that. So I ended up carrying these huge books around. Well, you no longer have to do that. You can carry your your books on your laptop or your iPad or Android pad or a cell phone. This phone right here that I have in my hand here, it actually is a Edge Note 7, and not Note 7. That's the one that blew up, but it's the Edge, and it's very good. I have actually apps on here that I can access my textbooks. I can actually conduct my lectures. I can access my email. I can access these classes, this classroom, log into Blackboard, all of those, because we're at that time now, and we want you to be able to be proficient in that. And certainly if a guy my age can do it, you can do it, but it's very critical, very important that you, every time that you take a class, that you're exposed to that, and you are here with online classes. Diversity and teamwork. Well, diversity, you're running across people from different backgrounds, people who have different beliefs, different ethnicity, different beliefs in their lifestyle, different lifestyles. Respect those individuals for who they are. Nobody's asking you to agree with everything. However, make sure that you're not bashing people, you're not putting people down, but you know, respect each individual in their positions. And then teamwork. You're going to be working in teams constantly, so we get you into the habit of working in teams. Now, our class is small, and in working in teams here, one of the neat things that we can do is to make sure that when we do lectures, I can include you in some activities where you work together if more than one of you come. And then the other thing is this, is that your discussion forum is a form of working in teamwork, because you're dealing with issues as well. So when you do get out of school, you will be finding yourself working in teams all the time. There's no lone rangers anymore. There's no individuals who are handling everything. You're working with people from all areas, probation, parole, forensic people, detectives, you know, beat cops. If you're a correction officer, you're going to have different individuals, psychologists, and all kinds of people that you're going to be working together, lawyers, judges, and all kinds of people. Then we get to a critical issue of ethics. Lord knows we need ethics in all our activities in life. One of the problems that we are having today is ethics has become a serious problem in many disciplines, but it is really, really on the forefront when it comes to criminal justice, especially in law enforcement. And it's very important that we return to operating under ethical principles. So we espouse that. I've taught ethics in criminal justice. I've taught ethics in business. I've taught ethics in medicine. And then I also am a pastor. And so without even getting into the Word of God, I still operate on a standard of ethical principles in terms of things. Now, that can apply to you as a student dealing with me. For example, if you tell me that the reason why you didn't complete your assignment is you had a death in your family, or you were ill, or something happened, I'm not requiring you to bring a note, a doctor's note, or all of that. You're adults. Okay, we're not in compulsory education. You are spending money. Your goal is to obtain a degree and ultimately to become a professional. And so you operate on that basis with me. I believe what you tell me. Of course, if you continue to find yourself saying something that's not correct, and then it'll trap yourself up. Unethical people end up in very bad places. So we encourage ethical principles. That includes your schoolwork as well, abiding by the academic and policies that we have here at this school, the plagiarism issues and all of those kinds of things. And then professional responsibility. You're going to have to learn to operate at a level that regardless of what the circumstances and situations, I know law enforcement people run into some pretty tough situations. Of course, you're dealing with people in distress, first responders. You're oftentimes dealing with people who have other problems. They're maybe on drugs. And then now this new thing is people have mental issues. And you have to be able to conduct yourself accordingly so that you are not just taking out that gun and bam, shooting them because of a situation that you might, with a normal person or a sane person, do it. The bottom line is that you are at a high standard and you want to continue to work at that high standard, and we want to encourage you to start that in school. Information literacy, there's information all over the place. You learn how to research, you learn how to gather that information in an orderly fashion and utilize it for the benefit of coming to a conclusion or completing a task that you have placed before you. And so, so you'll have the opportunity to demonstrate these in a number of courses, but including this course especially. Okay, I'm not going to get into the attendance policy. I'm not going to talk about incomplete grade policy, except what you should be aware of is that you should know that the incomplete grade policy has changed. It used to be 2 weeks, now it's only 7 days. But I don't give a lot of incomplete because students oftentimes will have enough work done, or if you have not done enough work and then you get to near the end of the quarter and you want to make up all those weeks, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to give you parameters. Now, I want to, before I get to that integrity policy, I want to talk about late assignments. Students may submit assignments up to 7 days late. You'll lose 10% for work up to 24 hours, and then 10 every day. So let's say if you got 15 points here. Let's say your assignment is 3 days late. Just being late itself, you're going to end up losing 10% each day. So 10% of your 15 days can land you in a 15 points. So you can find yourself as losing 3 points. Not 3 points. By the third day, you could find yourself after have lost a point for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. You'll be down to, even if it's 1 point, you'll be down to the point where you lose, and you'll be down to 13 or 12 points. Excuse me. So your grade will begin to be adversely affected by the 10% of your total grade. Okay? So the point of the matter is that when you find yourself with a grade of 15 and you take 15 and you lose 10%, it's basically almost 2 points that you're losing each day. It's moving the decimal over, it's 1.5. But the point of the matter is that, so let's figure that if it's 2 points, because we round up. So 3 days, you lost 6 points. So then you'll have 9 points as a grade. The point of the matter is that you don't want to do that. But here's the deal. I can waive the late penalty if you presented to me extenuating circumstances as I determined to be so. And like I said again, I'm pretty flexible with that. But the bottom line is, you know, I have students that say, oh, well, you know, I didn't want to let you know that I had this problem or that problem. Again, when you submit your assignments, you know, you can do it. That's why I said if you in week 1, 2, or 3, or 4, or 5 haven't done some work, and then we get to week 8 or 9, and you want to know if you could submit those assignments, the answer is probably no. Because if I followed the policy of the 10%, it's going to be a failing grade anyway. Or if I do give you some points, it's not going to be high enough to affect your grade average. So what does that mean? Keep up, and if you run into a problem, let me know as soon as possible. Okay? So now that we've done that, then the last thing is plagiarism. It tells you how you can violate those things and some other things here. So the point of the matter is that you want to maintain the academic integrity policy. Again, that gets back to ethics. And I'm not going to read this whole thing because of the fact that you will begin, you know what they are. You've been students, especially in this class, in more than one class, okay, in more than one quarter. So now let's look at the course calendar. Course calendar gives us what this week is, okay, your reading assignment, and then your initial post. As I said, this week is actually due Wednesday, but I didn't want to change it because when I use this calendar again, it'll be Tuesday unless there's another holiday. So that's why I sent the email to everybody telling you. Then about the open house tonight, what your reply post when due, and then your written assignment. And then I talk about the fact that the details of the course project are included in the module, but we're going to go over that. And then all the way through, the whole calendar has already been laid out for you. I've already gone through and done all the way until the very end, so you will know what's expected of you by the calendar, and you'll know the deadlines and due dates because it's already laid out on your course calendar. Okay? So now let's look at and see what the assignments for this week would be. Let's look at the assignments first. We already talked about your issue of discussion post. So this week you're dealing with critical issues debate, and you're going to select one issue that incites you in passion, and then you're going to share it with your classmates, and then provide some detailed information in your comments to just why this is important to you, maybe even some personal reading, some experiences or something you've done and so forth, and exchange ideas. That's the key. So, and you already know the deadlines for that. And then the other thing you have is your written assignment. Now, remember what I said already about your written assignments. It's a 2-page. So remember what I said. If it's a 1-page you submit, you're going to lose 1 point right away. If you don't have citations and references as required, you're going to find yourself losing 2 points. If you don't conduct research, you're going to lose another 2 points. Then if, for example, you get a Grammarly hit on it when I run your papers through Grammarly, which I run every paper through, and you have the right to do that before you submit it, so you'll be able to make sure you check the plagiarism box, though. Don't just run it through. Check your plagiarism box. It'll tell you the percentage of information that appears to be from sources that you discovered from your research. Let's say, for example, if you hit a 50, well, then your grade is going to end up being half of 15 or 7.5 or 8. That'll be the grade, and you don't want that. You don't want that in your written assignments, and you certainly don't want that in your assignments that you have for the project. So that's what the assignments are for this week. Okay. So then let's go back. And let's look at the lesson content. Again, it tells you what your reading is, and then it gives critical issues. What are they? And questions. So here we are. That's usually referring to a section in the module that you want to take a look at. Technology brings solutions and problems. So here it is down here. If you scroll down, you will see critical issues, and it talks about some of the critical issues that are involved. Now, what this list is doing is pretty much guiding you and helping you to look at the fact that these are issues that are paramount that are taking place in criminal justice. And this list is not the only. You can use, for example, I don't see on here domestic violence, for example. Domestic violence is an issue that some of the students I've had in the past have written very good papers on. So these are just a few or some of the issues. Terrorism, the issue about the death penalty, juvenile justice, assisted suicide, the war on drugs, security versus civil liberties. You get into things like the Patriot Act and other things. Technology and prisons, gangs, identity theft, community policing, corrections, whether it's going to involve punishment or rehabilitation, gender and diversity discrimination in criminal justice as well. So these are just a few. These are just a few to whet your appetite. Okay? Oops. That's my phone, which should not be ringing. So normally no one calls me at this time. So I'm going to put it on silent. There we go. Sorry about that. And then let's get down to the next section, which is some questions. Now, this is where you can do a little exercise. And the exercise involves some questions. And these are things just to, get you to thinking. So let's do a little bit of this. It says the following person is responsible for determining the extent of injuries present and the cause of death. Is it the investigating officer? Is it the medical examiner? Is it the forensic toxicologist or the forensic biologist? Well, the answer is this. So you begin to learn what fits where. Many of these you'll already know. All of the following are professional forensic organizations, except, now you'll find this information out from your reading. American Academy of Forensic Sciences, Forensic Sciences Foundation, American Society of Criminologists, or American College of Forensic Examiners. Okay, so then you pick the one that you think. Of course, I'm not really sure which one it is because I haven't done the reading in quite some time, but I would probably not say the Society of Criminologists. I'd look for something with forensic in it. American Academy of Forensic Sciences, Forensic Sciences Foundation. So I would tend to go toward A or D. So let's see what we got. See, I got it wrong. C is correct. The American Society of Criminologists. This organization is more concerned with criminology. The AAFS and FSSF are great organizations to join. So if you go back, restart this, and then you go to this. This is incorrect. So you know which one it is, don't you? It's not that one either. So you keep going. So which one? There's only one more left. American Society of Criminologists. Now, I never would have thought of that. I'd look for forensics. So it is the American Society of Criminologists, okay? Anyway, in the Fry case, I know about this, established standards for admissibility of scientific evidence. Yep, because I remember this in law school. The admissibility of scientific evidence in cases. Blatant or official discrimination against women and minorities has been eliminated in employment practices. And some people might say the answer is false, but the answer is true because it said blatant. Blatant. It's not something that's said anymore, but it's more, I should say, it's more subtle now. So what it's saying is that it still exists, but you can't, you'd be in trouble if you say we don't hire women. We don't hire people of a different sexual persuasion or things of that nature. Okay. So then we get to the last part, and then that's about what technology does. And so we talk about how technology has changed things, and probably the greatest change in technology has been DNA. I remember it has exonerated so many people. It didn't exist when I first started, but by near the end of my career, it came about. But there's a lot of other technological issues that are taking place now, because you're dealing with the issue of using social media and all other kinds of things. You got the internet and things like that. So there's all kinds of things that are taking place now with technology. So now let's spend some time talking about your project. Now, here's the deal. It's going to be your overall project. It's going to be a 6 to 8 page. This is what you're going to have at the very end, your final project. 6 to 8 page research paper where you take and defend a stance on a critical issue that you've chosen earlier, and you're going to come up with that in week 2. And then your paper, argue your stance on the issue, and then, so it's going to be a cogent research paper. So here's your timetable. Your introduction is what we're going through today. It's just explaining to you what's coming, okay? There's no written assignment. But week 2, there's a written assignment. Week 4, there is a written assignment. Remember, week 3 is just you're preparing it, your outline and thesis. Now, I provide you some information that's going to help you with how to do an outline and thesis. Submit your rough draft, your rough outline and thesis in week 4. Week 5, your introduction and your revised thesis. And then week 6, it says write. That's your time. You're not going to get a grade. Your annotated bibliography, I'm going to submit to you something to let you know what an annotated bibliography is. Week 8, your rough draft is going to be submitted. Then you're going to get it back, and then you're going to revise it in week 9, and then week 10, you're going to provide your final paper, okay? Now, each week there's, in the modules, it gives you more details about what to expect. As you begin to work through this paper, make sure that it's clear, complete sentences, paragraphs, spelling, punctuation. Remember I said research and analysis required throughout the paper, and at least 4 reliable sources. By the way, speaking of sources that are not reliable, Wikipedia is not one of them. Never use Wikipedia. It is not a reliable source. It is because it is a word-based source and can be manipulated by anyone. We have an online library that you can use for research, and then many of you will find more than 4 sources, but at least 4 reliable. APA format, we already talked about that. Each assignment is evaluated and graded independently. I'll give you the rubric for each of those steps in just a few minutes, okay? So if you have any questions, post it in the general course section of the class, which is under the same place where you find your student lounge and your discussion forums, okay? So now that's what's expected as far as the project is concerned. So you're going to remember all along the way. But each week you'll receive information that tells you what has to be done there. Okay. So now, let's go back to the classroom. Okay, so now I am going to provide you with the rubric for your week assignments for the project. This is it. And it tells you, you get 20 points for doing things. It says a paragraph presents a choice critical issue, not just a few sentences, but a paragraph. Stance is stated. Explain the benefits, and then APA references and citations are included for a total of 20 points. Now remember what I said. It's a document that requires. Now this is not a 2-page or any of those things. It is what it says it is, but you need to hit each of these points. You need to use this, and you're going to have this throughout. And then week 4, you're going to have to submit your rough outline and thesis. Again, week 5, you're going to have to provide this information. Then week 7, your annotated bibliography. Each of those grades, you got 30 points, 30 points, 30 points. Okay? You got 30 points for week 8, 50 points for week 8. Okay, so as you get further into the project, you'll see you get more points for it. So follow each of those points and make sure that that's done. Now, let's give you an example of what an annotated bibliography looks like. This is what an annotated bibliography looks like. And it actually gives you a breakdown of how to create your own. It should involve summary, evaluation, and reflection. The above example, summary, and here's a summary right in here about this particular source, and then evaluation as a source of information that is usually not included in history book, and then A People's History of the United States is invaluable to the study of American history. That's evaluation. Reflection is that the book will figure important in your paper about leadership and so forth and so on. So those are the 3 things that you want to include to create a annotated bibliography. This is a rubric of your discussion posts, which I will send you, and then you'll be able to print those up, but I've already kind of talked about that. Okay. Now, here is an example of a thesis statement, and it tells you what is not a thesis statement. You know, I think there needs to be prison reform. An example of a thesis statement is inmates need to have their basic rights preserved, so prison reform is necessary. So, and it kind of like lets you know what an introduction is, an opening sentence to capture the reader's interest, transition sentence, and then your thesis statement. Then the body specifies the issues of your paper. It tells you how to lay out your paper, but this gives you information that will help you. Then how to write an introduction. And it gives you an example, some idea about what kind of things that you should have captured when you write your introduction. And those are the things that I wanted to cover tonight. Again, I will be emailing these things to you as soon as this is over, as well as sending you a copy of this meeting. So that's about all I have for today. Hope to see you next week. Now, before I end, I do want to let you know why I say adversity is a springboard to success. Both my dad was murdered when I was 7, and then my mom was murdered when I was 10. The same guy did it 5 years apart. He didn't go to jail for killing my dad, and he turned out to be my mom's boyfriend. And then he used to beat her, so I grew up in a home of domestic violence, so that issue is very important to me. I've even taught the class on it as well. And then when he killed my mother in 1963, he was sentenced to 10 years, which I would quickly find out meant 5 years, and for good behavior, he would serve 3.5 years. So I went with that situation. By this time, I was 14, and I was very troubled about that, so I asked, what is, what can be done about this? And he said, it's the legal system. So I said, who's involved with the legal system? They told me lawyers. So I went to the library and found a book on lawyers or attorneys and read that book cover to cover in one night. And then the next day, anybody I met, I told them, my name is Richard Wright, and I'm going to be a lawyer. Well, the long story short after that is that I ended up graduating from high school, and then I would get my first job in a mailroom in a big law firm, and all the lawyers I met there, I told them I was going to be a lawyer. It was a corporate firm. So I cut my teeth in corporate law. And so I started in the mailroom, and then they saw something in me and moved me up to the file department. I became a file clerk. And then they needed a law librarian, so they elevated me to that position. This is all while I was going to school at night. Then finally, while I was in the law library, they saw I could research, so they turned me into what's called a paralegal today, but it was called a law clerk then. So then I, meantime, graduated, got accepted in the Northwestern University School of Law, and went through my 3 years of law school. Met a judge who gave me some good advice. He says, if you want to learn about the system, become a defense lawyer. And with my background, it seemed odd, but I did. I became a criminal defense lawyer and represented people in many, many, many cases. I was pretty good. I could relate to jurors and did pretty well. The point of the matter is that I was motivated and moved, and that my adversity in life is what launched me and moved me forward. And so then at some point after that, I went to seminary, became a minister, and then I retired from law in 2000 and began working in ministry and teaching special education for a while. Ran a couple of businesses on the side, and then finally I would find myself teaching at Rasmussen College in 2011, where I started out teaching business law, but I told them quickly I was a criminal justice person, and then I became an adjunct professor, and then became a full-time the state program coordinator of the School of Justice Studies in Illinois. And then when they changed our positions, I became full-time faculty, of which I do now. And every quarter I teach 5 classes in various topics. Along the way, I was became a part-time prosecutor in a local town that turned out to have corrupt police. So I became a police officer, an investigator of internal affairs, and I did all of that as well. So I came to the school prepared with all of this information to share with students, and I let students know why I'm so committed to doing this job. It's a lifestyle for me. 66, yes, I retire, and I am, but I still love working, and I like imparting wisdom and knowledge to students. So my goal is to produce three points for all of my students: ethical, professional, and educational individuals in criminal justice. And that's what I try to impart in each of the classes that I teach. And hopefully you will carry that out into your professional operations. And that's my contribution. I think that I've made some impact. I've had a number of students who keep in touch with me after graduation. I communicate with students quite frequently. I like to meet students and talk with them and, just chat with them, period. I like to encourage students when they run into a problem that this too shall pass. And so anyway, just wanted to share that with you so that you will understand. So I'm going to say good night. Hope to see you guys next week when we do have our first lecture. Again, if you have any questions or concerns, you know how to reach out to me. I'm going to say good night.